When I heard about BAOHONG watercolor paper for the first time, I thought it might be one of these brands to offer okay 100% cotton paper, but the name keeps coming back, so I had to check. Over the past 3 years, I've been using what I consider to be the best 100% watercolor papers out there, brands like Arches, Sennelier, Saunders, Waterford, and I had to see if the BAOHONG artist kind can compare or not. I'll be reviewing the Master's Choice BAOHONG watercolor paper, and what I'll share is based on my own preferences and opinions, but I hope you'll find it helpful. At first glance, the block I ordered looks like any other ones I normally use, and the features seem similar. Acid-free, 100% cotton, the weight is 300 grams per square meter, and I picked my favorite type, which is cold press. The block is glued on all sides, and like other blocks, you'll have to find the slit that allows you to detach the sheets and use something sharp like a knife. You could paint directly on the block and the sheet wouldn't buckle with water thanks to the glue. But I prefer to detach my sheets first, and since this is a new block, there's an extra colored sheet to remove, and then you can access the paper itself. I'm mentioning that because I remember the first time I used an Arches block, I had found that system to be very strange and confusing. The tooth of the paper is cold press, which visually translates into some visible texture, a bit grainy. I find this BAOHONG cold press paper to be grainier than Arches and all others I'm used to, close to a rough texture. And if you know these other papers, I bet you can see it too from the video. Price-wise, where I bought it, it was about the same as Arches paper. But on Amazon, I couldn't find it. All I could find were the other more regular artist blocks and the student grade blocks that they call Academy. And all of these are a bit more affordable as I speak. And if you know BAOHONG papers, you might be surprised that mine looks a lot different than yours, at least the cover. Mine seems harder to find for some reason. I've seen it on the Australian and French websites, but nowhere else really. And according to my research, it seems the artist paper you will easily find on Amazon and the Master's Choice paper that I have here could be the same thing, just packaged and priced differently. And I have no certainty about this, but if you know any more, please let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate that. I couldn't even access more information on BAOHONG's website, and there's not much online, just that this paper is sized with traditional gelatine, that it can handle all the watercolor techniques very well, and that it was developed recently with the help of the Masters of Watercolor. That's about it. I might try the regular artist grade paper another time to find out if it's the same or not. But frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same because there's no noticeable differences in the description at least. I'm getting ready to paint a landscape with a lot of the wet and wet technique, and that will help me see how the BAOHONG watercolor paper actually handles water, layers, and various techniques. As I'm wetting it, I can feel it's robust and should take a lot of water really well. The texture doesn't make it easy at first for the water to get in, so I'm having to insist a bit. I'm applying color in the same way and in the same consistency I normally would, and it's spreading beautifully. And I can tell it's a good quality because I noticed not all 100% cotton papers compare. Some will be less qualitative than others or just feel different. I'm happy with my background. The paper stayed wet long enough so I could work. One funny thing is it takes so long to dry. It almost feels like this is more than 300 grams per square meter in weight, even though it's not. I'm going for a second layer now. It's going the way that I would expect with 100% cotton paper. Takes a second layer well, the colors melt into each other nicely. I'm even able to lift the paint easily. I don't know if you're able to tell, but I think because the grain is a bit more rough than usual for cold press, in the way the mountains are looking, it shows a bit and it's pretty, almost a rustic look. It just stands out a bit to me. Again, I'm noticing how long it is to dry compared to my other papers of the kind. I'm adding a third layer after re-wetting the whole sheet for the third time to add depth to my landscape with more color and also really put this paper's absorbency to the test, and so far I'm impressed with it. On dry now, I'm going to add details. The boats, now the rocks. With details like these, not too fine, I'm seeing no problems with this paper, but I think that I wouldn't pick BAOHONG to paint here because The grainy texture might make it difficult to paint gracious hair. I'm able to lift more paint once more, even though I painted 3 background layers and they're all dry. You can see I have a pretty smooth painting, and yet I'm really picking up on 2 things with this paper. The almost rough texture of it. I prefer how elegant other papers make paintings look overall, like Ash Winter Newton or Sanity Art or Saunders Waterford, Fabriano. But still, I don't regret buying this paper at all. It also takes longer to dry, but it's not a big deal. It still lives up to the promise of being a great watercolor paper that works well with water and other techniques. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can watch this playlist next for more watercolor supplies information. Thanks for watching and see you next time.